What's going on? Mike the Caveman Q here again for Paleo Problem Island, MikeTheCaveman.com, and we have another edition, Monday Nights with Mike, live stream Q&A, you know the deal. Ask me anything, health related, and I'm just going to go and pull up the live stream over here on my phone so I can see your questions. You know what to do though, put them down in the comments. Apparently things are falling off the table, making strange noises. Must be the ghosts in the house. But, yeah, so if this ever wants to load, hold on. Pull up the live stream over here, but there we go. Awesome. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna answer any and all questions you got. In the meantime, let's recap some of the things we have. Yesterday, I put up on the behind the scenes, the best of Mike the Caveman. We have a grass-fed beef, pasture-raised bacon from Tendergrass Farms, and Japanese sweet potato sausage recipe. Put all this together, ground them up, and it came out really good. So definitely check that out from yesterday. If you want more information on that recipe, I can definitely give you more information, but they came out ridiculous. So definitely check that out. If you haven't seen the Six Barrel podcast that I did like 2 weeks ago, came out last week though, got released. Definitely check that out. That was a good time. Had a lot of good fun with my friends over there. And Eileen, how you doing? I see a couple other people on here. I don't know who's on right now because it's not popping up besides Eileen. So if you want to put your name down in the comments or just start putting the questions. Ozzy, how you doing? While I'm waiting for you to put some questions in, I had a couple of questions coming in recently. I'll start answering those. Hold on, let's see what we got. Okay, we had coming in earlier from my friend Murray. Oh, speak of the devil, Murray. Monolaurin. Well, we'll start with that. What do you know or think about monolaurin? So monolaurin is a type of antimicrobial, antiviral that's coming from basically coconuts. Okay, so it's a gross oversimplification, but essentially lauric acid is a type of acid. It's a fatty acid found in coconuts along with a couple other products, but what happens is it's a major part of the antimicrobial factors. So what they've done is they purified that lauric acid and turned it into monolaurin, taking one of the components out of it, and that is a relatively potent antimicrobial, antifungal, antiviral. So good stuff. It can be pretty beneficial. So, hey Murray, hey Ozzy, how you guys doing? Eileen, I already said hi before. What's up, Josh? How you doing, brother? Alright, so that's our monolaurin. And that's really weird. The, for some reason, I put the questions up and then they don't want to play now. I don't know, I'm just losing it. So, hopefully your questions come up over here because they're being squirrely on my phone. I don't know. Hey, Ant, what's up, brother? Okay, so monolaurin, like I said, coming from coconut. Coconut oil has a lot of good beneficial properties, though. Besides the lauric acid, which they turned into monolaurin, the caprylic acid, which I've talked about before, is particularly good for fungus and parasites. And, yeah, so the two of those together, if you're dealing with some infections, whether they be fungal, parasital, bacterial, viral, those are really good for that process. And, yeah. What else we got? We had a question earlier about nanoglutathione from my friend Mickey. And essentially, it would be a supplemental way of getting in some glutathione, which is your master antioxidant. It's like the king of antioxidants. So, essentially, it's a way of, it's liposomal, meaning that it's able to get through the fat, so it's very able to go through, it's easily absorbed that way, excuse me. And the nanoparticles means that they're super small sized, so it's a way of improving the absorbability. Now, glutathione, while not essential because it's composed of several amino acids, and our bodies can produce it as an antioxidant, some people have issues with that detoxification pathway, so they need some way of getting it in. Now, one way of doing that is through whey protein. A quality grass-fed whey protein is an excellent way of increasing the production of glutathione, particularly because of the amino acids providing. However, sometimes that won't work either. It's possibly a good idea to do coffee enemas, as weird as that is. Drinking coffee, but some people can't drink it due to caffeine concerns. When you're taking it backdoor, you're bypassing a lot of those pathways. You're not really dealing with that caffeine jolt, and as such, you're able to get a lot of the benefits potentially in production of glutathione without having to actually drink it, which, why wouldn't you want to drink coffee? I know, but you see where I'm going with that if you have issues with stress and whatnot. So, okay. Would monolaurin trump coconut oil? In terms of immune regulation, absolutely. Just like MCT oil would trump coconut oil in terms of ketone production. So it's a matter of what's your goal. If your goal is to fight an immune issue, then yeah, monolaurin would be better than coconut oil specifically. There's like caprylic acid supplementing with would be better than coconut oil specifically. If we're talking about just general health to try and boost your immune system in the process, then yeah, coconut oil is fine. Okay. Any thoughts on chronic plantar fasciitis? It's been 10 years for me, plus flat foot reconstruction. I stretch, etc. So yeah, I would definitely do a lot of foot mobility work. Fire cream. Excuse me. I would be using fire cream daily on that. I would also consider systemic enzymes, something like Fibrenza, to help break up the scar tissue. So fasciitis, we're looking at inflammation of the muscle fascia, so the connective tissue around it. So the plantar is around in your foot. So what I will be doing is I will be using those systemic enzymes to help break that up, and then using the fire cream to bring down pain and help to repair. I would also use mobility, so just foot movement drills, taking your foot, putting it on the floor, and spacing your toes out, actively separating them, putting things in between. So I'll be doing a lot of grip work with your feet. So I would definitely use that to help retrain. If your foot's flat, I would help to retrain that. How do you feel about popcorn and why? Well, popcorn, delicious. Should be eating it? Probably not. So besides the fact that most corn is GMO, most popcorn, if you get a decent corn that's organic and you're popping it yourself, maybe. Occasionally. There's very little redeeming value to popcorn besides the fact that it's delicious. So, honestly, not a great idea, but what can you do, If you absolutely had to, Susanna, get the best one you could, but honestly, I'd say no. There's not much nutrition to it, so that's your biggest one there. Alright, Annie, how you doing? So, yeah, I talked a little bit about glutathione, a little bit about monolaurin. We talked a little about popcorn now. Plantar fasciitis. Why can't I pronounce that right now? Plantar fasciitis. So I talked a little bit about that for right now. What else we got? What kind of questions we got going on? I feel like I answered something else before, too. I don't know. Probably wasn't too important. What else we got going on? Oh, well, I got you guys. You got a couple people here right now. Who saw my vegan video? What do you guys think? I think we should go vegan, right? I'll wait for some comments to that. Or any other questions, Down with a horrible fever today. In terms of fever. Okay, so in terms of fever, I'd be looking at things like white willow bark, cooling down in general, so just keeping cool. In terms of that, fever for you would be a good idea. In terms of if we're dealing with a headache or anything along with that, some CBD potentially, fire cream. You're waiting on the vegan recipes. The sweet potato, the sausages yesterday, they had sweet potato in that. That's not vegan? The bacon, with the bacon and the beef, it's not vegan anymore? Oh, man. I guess I'm out. Sorry. Alright. Most effective way to incorporate turmeric. Let's see. In terms of dietarily or supplementally. Dietarily, add it to your food. Supplementally, take a shot of it. I mean, it seems like a pretty straightforward answer, but I think you mean like in terms of ways of putting it in. So if you want to try making those sausages, I actually added turmeric to that sausage yesterday. So incorporate to your meat, incorporate it to your spices. If you want to make a mustard at home, I know you're really crafty at making things from scratch at home. If you wanted to try making a mustard from mustard seeds, well, turmeric is usually a major component to actual mustards that have been packaged. So use some turmeric, make some mustard at home. In a tea, yes. So there's the golden milk. A lot of people make that golden milk, and I've yet to do it, but essentially it's turmeric, coconut milk, and a couple other things. I probably should do that stuff right now, like with my voice being gone. Probably a good idea. You know what? Maybe that's my project for tomorrow. I'll record it. I'll put that up like a little teaser on Instagram on the story, and I'll put that for the behind the scenes for Sunday. All right, I'll do a golden milk. All right. So yeah, in tea's good. Excuse me. What else we got? Let's get some more questions, guys. Come on. Murray's jumping on, giving a lot of great questions, and he had a little bit more of a comment than a question. But what else we got? Yum. Yes, exactly. So the golden milk, we'll try that. Another one that I thought about, you could do like a Thai style soup. So whether it's tom kha gai or tom kha yum, you can do those kind of soups. So taking your bone broth, which you should be drinking more of, and taking that, and then you can go and add some stuff to it. So you add a whole bunch of spices, add some coconut milk to it, and go to town, have some fun. So a whole bunch of options on that end. All right, what other questions we got? I see some likes coming in, but what about questions, guys? Come on. Need those questions. That's all I can give you before the royalties kick in and I gotta start paying Jeopardy, and then we're all in trouble. So let's not do that. But what else we got, guys? Let me see. While I'm waiting for that, let's think about some other questions that have come in. So I guess we can do that. We had that. Oh, I had some questions earlier about CBD and thoughts on best sort. All right, I'll come back to that one then. Why fermented foods not good for some again? Well, there are a couple of reasons why potentially. The biggest one has to do with histamines. So what happens is, most of the time, your bacteria, they're producing butyric acid, they're producing different types of short-chain fatty acids like butyric acid or propionic acid or acetic acid, vinegar and whatnot. And in that process, when they're making those are either feeding something else. The problem is when you have an overgrowth, sometimes though, they're producing histamine. And now normally your body would take those histamines and it will convert it. Some people have an issue, both genetically and that overproduction through the overgrowth of bacteria producing those, so they're not able to break it down, and they have bacteria overgrown that producing it. So those two factors combined can lead to a buildup. The problem is that histamine is a precursor towards inflammation. So histidine is part of the inflammatory process. It's an inflammatory mediator. So when you have excess amounts of histamine, it can lead to some systemic inflammation. So in the case of people who having that fermented foods are rich in histamines, and as such, they can basically get some inflammations. That last part wasn't really English, but I think you got where I was going with that, hopefully. Tavana, when Megaspore is back ordered, is there anything else you'd recommend in the interim? That is a great question. So you want to look for something that has bacillus spores, ideally. Short of that, however, another option would be Saccharomyces boulardii, and that is a yeast that has the best. It has the best efficacy, the best research behind it in terms of spore based. So in terms of actually getting through. So I like those two in combination, honestly. So when Megaspore is on back order, that'll probably be your best bet. Make sure you're getting in some Saccharomyces boulardii, and consider another supplement that has Bacillus coagulans, Bacillus lichen formis isn't really found, but Bacillus subtilis. I'm forgetting the other two. There's two others that are in Megaspore. If you want to pull a bottle up and pull it, tell me real quick. But other than that, look for those spore-based probiotics, and if you can't get your hands on that, definitely some Saccharomyces boulardii. Is lard a healthy fat? That is a little bit of a loaded question, Annie, and the reason why I say that, if we are talking about lard from, say, Oscar Mayer, then probably not. If we're talking about lard from a quality source, something like my friends over at Tendergrass Farms down in Virginia, they have a pasture-raised lard. You can actually find it over at Fairway, over by the Butters, and yeah, that absolutely is. Now, let's be clear, fats in and of themselves generally are not particularly nutrient dense, but that being said, lard absolutely is. And is lard, even Oscar Mayer lard, bacon grease or rendered bacon fat there, or rendered pork fat in general, is that going to be better than soybean oil? Yep. Is it going to be better than corn oil? Yep. Is it going to be better than canola oil? Yep. So even the crappy fats from the animal is generally going to be better than vegetable oils. That being said, you're still going to want to have the best option available. And the Tendergrass Farms lard you find over at Fairway, really good stuff. All right, besides following the SIBO diet, any other helpful tips for someone dealing with that? It gets into a really squirrely neighborhood when it comes to SIBO. Have you been tested SIBO? Like, definitively you have SIBO, because it could be SIFO, it could be, which, as some of us know, if that is the case, can lead to a little bit of a squirrely neighborhood. Even then, some people do a SIBO-style diet, and the carbohydrate intake is still too high, and can still be a problem. So I'd be mindful of what kind of carbohydrates you're taking in, be mindful of timing on that. I'd be mindful of what kind of probiotics and other types of supplements you're taking in. Generally, just reduce inflammation. Sometimes you may need to get onto some herbal antimicrobials to clear out that overgrowth. More often than not, you probably will. The problem is fighting the bacteria that are in your colon, or rather in your small intestine, while simultaneously supporting and promoting the ones that are in your colon. So that is the battle. That's where the tweaking of things has to occur. You have to find that magic area in between the two. All right, what else we got? And if anybody needs any clarification on any of those, feel free to pop in there with some clarification, or request for clarification, or if you want to add comments that are clarifying. Are vitamin C effervescence helpful? Oh, and Susanna, I see you have a question now too. Susanna, I guess yours came and popped in first. So, generally, which would you say is healthier to cook with? Grass-fed butter or olive oil? When it comes to cooking, grass-fed butter, period. The one exception is if you are ridiculously sensitive to casein and or whey and or lactose, there shouldn't be too much left in butter, in which case I would say go with grass-fed ghee, which is clarified butter, or go and clarify the butter yourself. Basically heat it up, melt it, put it in water, and let the protein, whatever little bit that's left, separate. The butter will rise to the top. Any remaining sugar and or protein will fall to the bottom, leaving you with pretty much just the milk fat on top, and you've essentially made your own ghee. And actually, Murray, that would be an excellent way of incorporating turmeric. Take some grass-fed butter and make some clarified butter, so make the ghee, which you shouldn't have any problems with ghee, but add the turmeric to the ghee. So make your own clarified butter with turmeric, and that would be an excellent way of getting extra turmeric in. So, in terms of cooking, definitely the grass-fed butter, period. Olive oil, excellent. If you're talking about actual, extra virgin olive oil, organic, you want to put that onto salads. Add two things. Amazing idea there in terms of that olive oil, but in terms of cooking with it, definitely go with the grass-fed butter over that. Hey, Shoshana, how you doing? All right, Andy, back to your question though. Are vitamin C effervescence helpful? Now, are we talking about like Emergency, like the actual brand there, or just like a vitamin C effervescent in general? Because the key is, if it's just vitamin C with like citric acid and not really too much else, something to just basically make it bubble, good stuff. It's when you start adding the sugars and the other sweeteners. I forgot what they add to the Emergencies, but they're not great. I think it's like fructose or whatnot. If you have one in front of you, you can tell me. That'd be great and help me out here. But other than that, yeah. So the emergencies, the airbornes. Honestly, besides just being bubbly and tasty, absolutely. So Sean, that's what it is. You put the question down, and then I'll come back to it. I'll get to it when I finish up with one of these. So absolutely, post it down in the comments. So yeah. So finish up on that one, on the vitamin C one. Regarding that, honestly, you're better off just getting an actual vitamin C, adding it to, let's say, like the strawberry lime seltzer, club soda. So add it to that, to a bubbly drink if you really want the effervescent, or a soda stream. After, don't add it into the soda stream. That'd be a really bad idea. But add it to the bubbly drink, mineral water, and what that's going to do, exactly, fructose, there you go. So what that's going to do is it's going to go and it'll give you the option of actually getting a bit of vitamin D. It's going to go at vitamin C. It's going to give you that vitamin C, excuse me. It's going to get you that vitamin C. It's going to get you the bubbliness of the effervescence that you want, the tastiness there, that throat feel. But it'll actually help out there. So hopefully that helps you out. I hope that's a good one. Hey, Sean, what's up, brother? Okay. Murray, building on vitamin C question. I read it is critical for conversion of dopamine to norepinephrine, which helps to lower cortisol. What's your take? You read that the conversion of dopamine to norepinephrine lowers cortisol. Okay. I would need more information on the background of that. The only reason why I say that is the fact that norepinephrine is, fancy name for adrenaline, noradrenaline, which is a precursor to adrenaline, stress, which is part of the fight or flight. So generally when you're getting a cortisol bump, you're getting a little bit of norepinephrine and then epinephrine, a little bit of adrenaline as well. So generally they work in tandem. Yes, vitamin C is important for that conversion process. In terms of it actually helping to lower cortisol, the mechanism on that, if you could tell me what they said it was, because that's a little bit of a squirrely neighborhood. I could see someone who has to release norepinephrine all the time, that's consistently in fight or flight mode, might actually have low cortisol in the end. That I see actually, where after long-term chronic inflammation and or oxidative stress, you end up having super low cortisol levels because your body's basically ran out. So yeah, please send me the info and I'll look into that, because that could be an interesting video topic at some point when I have a chance to look into that more, because that's the first I heard about that, honestly. Yo, Jody, what's up? Okay. And Annie says fructose. Yes, there was fructose in there. Okay, it's Bill to Shoshana's question. And I can't talk right now, but I love coconut oil for everything, even coffee instead of sugar. Is that better than other oils to cook with? We're going a lot with cooking oils, which, guys, I have a video on that. I will post that in the description, which I know I've been promising to post videos in the comments after these, and I've been brain farting and not doing it. I apologize. That I definitely will. So the question before from Susanna was, is butter better than olive oil? And grass-fed butter is better than olive oil. Is coconut oil better than everything? Yeah, coconut oil practically is the best oil you can cook with. Personally, when it comes to using it though, I generally stick to flavor palettes. So if I'm going with something that's going to be sweet, quote unquote, I'm going to go more towards coconut oil. If I'm going towards a Latin or like South Asian, like Thai style flavor palette, I'm going coconut oil. If I want to go with, say, a steak or eggs or vegetables, more often than not, I'm using a grass-fed butter. I'm using the lard. Actually, Annie's like a really cooking oil heavy episode. But when Annie asked about the lard, so yeah, I'll do that. If I'm lightly sauteing greens, that's why I use the olive oil. But I generally use skinny fat olive, which is the Calton's MCT oil, coconut oil, and olive oil blend. So it tastes like olive oil, but it has a high smoke point, so it doesn't burn easily. So when you're using things like greens, what essentially you can do is you can cook it on the saute it and not really have to worry about the oxidation quite as much. But provided you have a good olive oil, it really isn't that big of a deal if it's quick, just for the leaves. But overall, coconut oil and coffee, awesome. Using it to cook, awesome. So yes, definitely a great oil to cook with. In terms of flavoring, like I said, that's the only reason why I don't cook everything with it. But other than that, You know, a lot of people really enjoy that. A lot of people like swear by the chicken and coconut oil taste, and I like it. I do. It's just not all the time. So if you really love that, definitely feel good about what you're doing. Okay, potassium drops. Potassium is 2.1, so I'm always in the hospital for 3 weeks at a time. Did I say bananas? But I read avocado is higher in potassium. Which is better? So, pretty sure I sent you that video, but essentially, yeah, should you be doing bananas for potassium? That's actually a direct video that I did, and essentially, the answer is not really. Now that you can't, the reason why, and it's a lot of things like that. Should you be doing oranges for vitamin C? Should you be doing, I'm trying to think of, I actually done a whole bunch of topics like this, but essentially, the ones that you recommended, the oranges, the bananas, the reason why those are the recommendations is essentially that those are foods that doctors are relatively confident you're actually going to go home and eat. So, not many people want to hear beet greens or avocado. I mean, avocado is pretty popular these days. There was that big uproar. We thought we were going to lose the avocado connection from Mexico, but essentially, yes, people like avocados, but avocados, sweet potatoes, beets. I know you don't like beets. We talked about that, but beet greens though, in particular, yeah, those are gonna be your best sources. There is more than a quarter of your day's worth of potassium in beet greens. So in beet greens, there's 1.2 grams of potassium. You need about 4 grams per day. So you lightly steam that, and you're gonna get pretty much all of the potassium you're ever gonna need. Hey Kim, what's up? Okay, Jody. So you agree with sweet and coconut oil. Can you repeat what your high smoke point olive oil was? Okay, yes, absolutely. So the olive oil that I was talking about, excuse me, is Skinny Fat Olive, and I'll put a link to that afterwards, but it's from Calton Nutrition, and it is, essentially it's an MCT oil. It's more parts MCT, it's mostly MCT. There's a 1 part coconut and 1 part olive. It tastes like olive, but it's not really olive. It's MCT. So, yeah. So Skinny Fat Olive. I'll put a link to that so you can take a look at it. Great stuff. It's awesome. And yes, I know you hate beets. Eat the tops of the beets. I'm telling you. Just eat the tops of them. It doesn't taste like a beet. I swear. It tastes like a leaf. It tastes like kale or spinach or any other green. So it'll be fine, probably. If you and yes, Mariah can't do beets either. Kim, what's up? How you doing? And then let's see. Gotcha. No problem. Okay, I hate beets. Can I mix it with a smoothie to make it taste better? No. Okay. So Tristan, please do not apologize. That's what these live streams are. I need the questions. That's the point. I need people asking the questions. Otherwise, I'm sitting here like. So please. Ask all the questions you want. I do only run these for about half an hour, but every Monday night, ask questions, send them in otherwise, because I generally will turn those into videos. So just send them in. Just get the questions. I love the questions. So please don't apologize at all. Not really the biggest fans of smoothies overall, mostly because it is pretty easy to take in too much calories too easily. That being said, if you are somebody that needs to add weight, then yeah, there can be some benefit. So most people, unfortunately, in this country are insulin resistant and or overweight or obese. As such, they generally aren't going to do well with smoothies. However, if you are dealing with adrenal issues, thyroid issues, then yeah, sometimes if you are on the lighter end and need to add weight, then yeah, you're going to need to get as much nutrition in as possible. That's where that whole eat 5-6 times a day thing comes from. It comes from the bodybuilding community, who they need to eat 6,000 calories a day, and so as such, they need to literally scarf down liquid calories at all times. Most people don't need liquid calories. So in the case of you guys can do pretty well with liquid calories. Yes. And that is the link. But if you could do me a favor, Jody, because I do actually have an affiliate, I work with them, so I would appreciate if you do end up getting it. And to be clear, whether or not I had the affiliate link, I would still be promoting it. That being said, I would appreciate if you could order it. You order it through my link. It's small, doesn't change your price. You know, the whole thing that everybody always talks about. Doesn't change your price, but it still helps support the channel. And if you just want to order it through there, that's fine too. Either way, it's going to be beneficial for you. But I would appreciate the kickback. But that was some of the other ones. So I have the video. Should you be eating carrots for vitamins? For vitamin A. So that's one. Should you be? It's all good, no problem. I'll link it right as soon as we're done. It's really that. Drinking milk for calcium, spinach for iron. Well, spinach isn't really an easy sell. Spinach is a pretty hard sell. But the oranges for vitamin C, bananas for potassium. Essentially, those are ones that, because they're sugary ones, people are generally be like, okay, I can eat that. And the doctor will have no problem getting a hard sell, because that's really the biggest thing. Compliance, getting people to actually listen, is the hardest part. So that's really it. It's all good, Jody. No, don't apologize. It's fine. So at this point we're at the 30-minute mark. Any last questions, real quick? Okay, so I'll take this last one, Shoshana. That'll be the last one. So studies say that too much kale is bad. Also, can I juice the carrots or I have to eat it whole? So again, not really a fan of juicing overalls. I'm more in terms of ordering. Juicing's probably the lowest on the list, then smoothie, then blending. So if you can blend it, that way you're getting the whole food in there, it's going to be better overall because you're going to get most of the nutrients there. Regarding kale being bad, too much kale, part of the problem is that it's goitrogenic, so it can be problematic for your thyroid. The other part is that potentially it could lock up minerals, so it could be problematic for people with osteoporosis. So the oxalic acid and the phytic acid, they can lock up the calcium, potassium, all those. That's why I always say to lightly steam them, particularly if you're concerned about that mineral absorption. So lightly steam them, saute them in that skinny fat olive or coconut oil or any of those, and what that's going to do is it's going to break down the oxalic acid, and it's going to help a little bit with that goitrogens. So essentially, and we'll close it out with this part, plants can't run away, right? Plants don't have claws, they don't have sharp teeth, they're not big and strong, they're not animals. Animals have defense mechanisms. So do plants. Everything wants to live, right? So plants, the way they defend themselves are through chemicals. And more often than not, the chemicals can be outright poisonous, or they can be sneakily poisonous. So if we're talking about outright, right, you have things like cyanide. Eat enough cyanide, gone. If we're talking about, phytoestrogens, they can change your reproductive tract. Or we'll come back to that in a second. Go back to the first part. If we're talking about most drugs today, right? So drugs, right, what happens? If we're talking about stimulants, heart rate goes up, heart explodes. If you have a psychoactive one, well, now you get lost in the woods and something else eats you. If we're talking about a depressant, you just get slowed down in the woods and now something else eats you. Now, if we're talking about like insects and mice and other small animals, it's a very big deterrent, right? They're small, they could die outright. Humans, we are large enough that we're large enough and unfortunately smart enough to have figured out that certain dosages aren't going to kill us outright. We're able to survive. So because of that, what started as a plant defense mechanism, unfortunately, is not going to work. It's not going to work to its advantage. We figured out, if I only take 200 milligrams of caffeine from this coffee, then yeah, I'm gonna feel awesome. When in reality, that coffee was saying, stay away from me because I'm going to explode your heart. Now that worked for insects, it didn't really work too well for us. So we figured out how to have enough. So it's not really a deterrent anymore. Other foods though, okay, phytoestrogens, they can be beneficial to certain subsets of the population, but more often than not, what's going to happen, you're going to have that, you're going to have a weak estrogen activity, it's going to throw off your reproductive hormones. Goitrogenic activity, so they mess up your thyroid, your metabolism gets messed up. If we're talking about the reason why I say to avoid grains and legumes more often than not, well, that whether it be the prolamines, lectins, saponins, tannins, they can cause digestive insults. They can cause gastrointestinal issues. They can cause intestinal permeability. And essentially what's happening there is that you're not able to digest things, and that can lead to your death. So plants like to screw with us in lots of ways. Certain ones, though, fruits are one of those where like berries in particular, you eat those and they're going to come out pretty well. We are actually helping them. So a lot of foods, when you eat them like that, you're actually going to help them to transmit the seed. So it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world for them to get eaten. So they're cool. They don't really give as many problems. But, certain foods, you gotta be careful for. So those greens, things like the kale, we said, lightly cook it and it breaks down much of the garbage. That's where the proper preparation methods come in. If you're going to have grains, you're going to have legumes, if you're going to have leafy greens, what you're going to want to do with the former ones, soak, sprout, ferment in terms of leafy greens, cook them lightly. That's basically it. Traditional preparation methods have gotten rid of much of the damage of these problematic foods. That's the reason why we prepared them that way. We figured out over trial and error that, when we eat these, Bob didn't die. Cool. Let's keep cooking them that way. So, essentially, that's why we do them. All right, I know I said that was going to be the last question, but real quick, Kim, why is Epsom salt great for your muscles? And the reason why is Epsom salt is essentially magnesium, and what happens is that magnesium goes into your system transdermally. So while you're in that bathtub, the magnesium goes in, the water comes out, and what's happening is you're essentially getting extra magnesium. Magnesium is a muscle relaxant, and as such, it can help to relax your body in that process. So that's why your muscles are, when they're sore, you're getting extra magnesium, and it's going to help you out. All right. Shoshana says, stay on another 20 minutes. I truly appreciate that. I really do. But again, every Monday night, I'm on every Monday night. No problem. I love answering the questions, guys. And this one was actually a really active one. I truly appreciate everybody jumping on that made it here live. If you made it this far on the replay, thank you again for that. I truly appreciate all your questions. And you know what to do. If you haven't already, please head over to youtube.com/MikeTheCaveman and subscribe. I would truly appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed over at MikeTheCaveman.com, Kim, who's on right now, had the Epsom salt question. It has been redoing it, and we're going to be relaunching that soon, hopefully. And everything, God willing, comes according to plan. Make sure that, keep your eyes out. Fire Cream, hopefully, going to be launching soon. So keep your eyes open for that. One last thing, actually, side note, some of you I've talked to about this already, and completely unrelated to health and everything else, but I'm telling you right now, in terms of mindset, I'm really big on positive mindset. If you have not heard of, seen, or read, go read or see The Shack. I highly recommend it. Those of you who know me, my story, my background, know that, mindset can be a big problem for people, and in order to get through dark times of life, you need that positivity. I highly recommend The Shack. I read it 2 weeks ago. My mom had me on my butt about reading it for a while. I actually saw the movie this afternoon. Go see it. Go read it. Completely unrelated to the health other than just mindset. And I truly believe it's beneficial. It was really for me, so I can't recommend that enough. But either way, Mike the Caveman over on YouTube, MikeTheCaveman.com. Again, truly appreciate you guys. Love you, and I'll see you tomorrow.